The original slogan of Chicago was Urbs in Horto, Latin, city in the garden. But later on, as years passed, the slogan changed from Urbs in Horto to Ubi, U-B-I, est mea, M-E-A. Ubi est mea, meaning, where's mine?
Don't ever ask me what Chicago is, unless you've got an hour or two or three. 'Cause I need time to tell you what Chicago is and what Chicago means to me. My kind of town, Chicago is. My kind of town, Chicago is. My kind of razzmatazz.
Politics is the breath of Chicago. It's something that everybody has something to say about. Everybody's got an idea. Everybody knows that things should be done this way. Everybody knows who is a crook. Everybody, everyone has an opinion.
Screwed up. That's it. I can explain in one word. Screwed up.
It's my kind of town. Everybody.
We could elect somebody that was laying 6 feet down in the cemetery.
Chicago is my kind of people too.
It's our continuing show. It never stops. There's always an alderman going to prison or a ward committeeman or somebody fleeing tax evasion. It's just spectacular.
Chicago's calling me home. Chicago is.
They'll stab you in the back, but they'll also stab you in the front, too. You know, they'll tell you where they're coming, and then they'll do it.
Mayor Daley, Oprah Winfrey, Chicago is the...
In Chicago, where everyone knows that the ultimate spoil of victory is power, ethnic tribes have clashed for decades. But if your group doesn't have the numbers to do it alone, you have to go looking for partners.
Chicago, Chicago, my kind of town.
We're backing this guy because he's being supported from our old aldermen and congressmen. And he's been working with him 15 years, and he's helped us in the past.
In politics, there are no permanent enemies, no permanent friends, only permanent interests. It's a game of addition and multiplication, not a game of division and subtraction. And the key to politics is putting people together and adding up votes.
This guy, he's a Mexican. He's part Hispanic. And I don't know if he's half Italian, half Mexican, but it don't matter. I believe he's a good guy. It don't matter to me. I don't stick with Polacks because they're Polacks, you know.
The master at building coalitions was Mayor Richard J. Daley, the last big city boss in America. When he died in 1976, it looked like no one would be able to successfully unite the Chicago tribes and govern as he did. But 7 years later, a charismatic congressman named Harold Washington unified the city's huge black community with Latinos and progressive whites and became Chicago's first black mayor, the most powerful black elected official in America.
You want him? You got him!
The issues that he was raising were different from politics as usual. So he was like the great black hope, like the great white hope during the Jack Johnson days. It would be like the great black hope for the black people. We never had anything that was in our favor pulling for us.
People felt like that was their hero, their champion. He was riding off into battle and he was always victorious.
Chicago was such a closed government, a lot of people were locked out. Harold opened up the doors for a lot of people to come into government. And it wasn't just black and brown, it was other people too. So Harold just kind of opened those doors and said, come on in, let's work this thing out. And if it was anybody who showed a rainbow of people involvement, it was the late, great Mayor Washington.
He would have been the mayor of Chicago for 20 years because he studied Richard J. Daley. He knew how Richard J. Daley did it, and he did it the same way.
Mr. Mayor, do you feel the spirit of St. Daley upon you?
Oh, yeah, always, yes. Particularly with this shillelagh in my hand. It's comforting. If you can't have Davy's clout, get a shillelagh.
His first term was marked by bitter racial polarization, but he won re-election and started to make inroads in the white vote.
As far as I'm concerned, he fixed my streets. Did a lot more for me and my family than most mayors did.
I can think of no better forum, no more auspicious group of people to make this total and complete factual revelation, not just for the benefit of...
He had that bombastic speaking style and all those 8-letter words, which, see, Washington was very bright. He knew Harold off the record, you know, he'd laugh about that because he knew that this was the thing that impresses white people. Hey, this guy can use big words. Think about it, this black guy can use big words.
Based upon all the trappings and accoutrements which have surrounded my public life for the past 20 years.
And of course, most of them who say that can't use big words, so they're delighted. But people say, hey, this guy's a hell of a good mayor.
I saw him, man, he danced with his wife.
And then, just as he had consolidated his power, Harold Washington died of a heart attack, leaving his constituency bereft.
It was sad. Everybody cried because we had lost a dear friend. We will never have another person like Mayor Washington.
I've never asked God for anything that God didn't give me, with the exception I asked God to give me Harold back. And I felt he was going to be all right, but he didn't come back. And I think it was a trauma to our community, and it's a trauma that our community has not overcome yet. So even myself now, I'm still angry at the fact that he didn't come back.
I didn't realize at the time just how unique he was, because after his death, that coalition, that concert he had groomed so well, just fell apart. The coalition fragmented. People flew off in various directions, and haven't come back together since.
My name is John Calhoun. I'm the coordinator for Mayor Daley's phone bank.
My name is John Colomay. I'm an assistant to Mr. Calhoun running the phone bank. Mayor Daley, good luck next week, Tuesday.
My name is Emmanuel Dudzinski. I'm a volunteer worker for the mayor's campaign. Good luck, Mr. Mayor.
Now Chicago has Mayor Daley back again, but this time it's Richard M. Daley, the son of the old boss. He's been mayor for almost a decade, and his name still evokes the old Daley magic.
I think Daley's doing a good job as a mayor, so I liked his father, so what can I say? Said he's running good.
I think that people are voting for him on what they wish Chicago used to be and what they hope it would remain, sort of like a nostalgia. Remembering the old man without the edges, without the cops beating people up, without precinct captains shaking store owners down if they didn't support the local candidate. All that stuff people conveniently forget, and what we have left are sort of like a rosy-colored picture. But that's what he represents, and for the time being, that's the icon he'll be.
I think Daley's doing a good job in the community, and that's what people remember because of his father. A lot of people, like my mom and my dad, they remember from his father. They love Daley because of that reason.
In a great political sleight of hand, Mayor Daley has cracked open Harold Washington's Rainbow Coalition and carried off a prize, the votes of Chicago's fastest-growing ethnic group.
If we had a quota, can you imagine if Mayor Daley was a quota person? If we had a quota, we would have filled that quota a couple of years ago, and we wouldn't have any more positions at City Hall in terms of the executive.
The mayor's method is simple yet effective. He's handing out jobs.
No, and there's going to be a fire superintendent named Orozco, and the chief of staff of the mayor's office, the guy who really has to handle city work, was going to be named Gary Chico. If we had said that to people, we would have said, la verdad que ustedes están un poquito exagerados, ¿verdad? You must be exaggerating to get the vote. You don't have to do all of that. We'll vote for him anyways, for less.
Latinos want to ally themselves with Richard M. Daley because of self-interest. If Richard M. Daley sees that Latinos are going to be a key swing group for his organization, for his administration, he's going to be attentive to us.
My mayor and your mayor, the mayor of the city of Chicago, Richard M. Daley.
Thank you very much, Congressman Gutierrez. Thank you.
Daley has given Hispanics many, many positions at the expense, not of whites, but of blacks. The superintendent of schools is a gentleman of Hispanic descent, used to be an African-American. The superintendent of police used to be African-American, it is now Hispanic. I could go on down the line. So that's it. Blacks are being put in a position of farther to the back of the bus, if you will, and Hispanics are moving up along with the white coalition.
I'm going to Chicago, and I'm sorry I can't take you. I'm going to Chicago, and I'm sorry I can't take you. Because ain't nothing bad that a monkey woman like you can do.
The black community is still traumatized by the loss of Harold Washington. The white political community expertly exploited that sense of loss, and that infuriated the activists. The more activist members of the black community saw it happening, but were powerless to stop it. And so there was this tremendous anger.
Daley, got to go. We don't need the boy no more. Look at that, man. You always look good. Have you got one of these on your car? Daley, got to go. Dump Daley before Daley dump you. I got a lot of guests, Daley.
They ain't gonna print that.
I wish I could tell what all I got against Daley. Daley, he's got to go.
So friends, join me in bringing on right now the next mayor of the city of Chicago, Joe Gardner. Come on, Joe. Let's go, Joe. We shall vote for Joe. We shall vote for Joe.
This year, as always, there's a black candidate opposing the mayor. But even with rousing Dump Daley rallies for the faithful, the odds are long against the citywide strength of the new Daley coalition.
We shall not be led. You down there in that grave with him. Harold Washington wants you to have life and not death. You crowding Harold down there. He wants you out of his grave. Dick Daley had put you down there. Dick Daley hope you stay down there.
White Chicagoans have been notoriously unconcerned with the issues that are so important to African Americans. So quite naturally, African Americans feel pretty embattled, and whenever we feel that way, we tend to gravitate more toward nationalist solutions.
Daley gotta go. Daley is very dangerous. We gotta dump Daley so that the elected officials can be accountable to the people and not to a political boss. Daley is trying to take us back to the plantation, but Daley can't take us back if we don't agree to go back.
It's a tragedy for the black community because now these are the times when we should be trying to cultivate coalitions, but instead we're becoming much more nationalistic.
We cannot allow these Uncle Toms and these auntie mammies to continue selling us out to the white man. Today, we cannot allow that. We must stand up for our people.
White ethnics don't want to share power with blacks. That's the way it is. And in Latinos, they find a partner as a bulwark or rampart against an inevitable black ascendancy. So in Chicago, you have conservative political types that see Latinos as another ethnic group migrating through the city of Chicago.
How are you? How's everything? We didn't mean to bother you.
The mayor's success has inspired a new breed of Latino politicians, as comfortable with white ethnics as they are with other Latinos.
So you at the Italian American Club. All right, well, you know, we're looking for your help and your support.
You got it.
You know,
You're a good man.
just keep those fellas on their toes Tuesday.
All right.
Tell them to make sure they come
You
out and
got our
vote.
vote.
Thank you very much.
You deserve it.
And I'll see you Thursday.
Okay.
I'll see you Thursday night.
Adios. Adios, amigo.
Hasta luego. My community has changed somewhat. I'm not only a representative for the Hispanic community. Not that I'm not any less proud of that. I'm still very proud. But I'm more proud of the fact that I have other ethnic groups who have come to my support and who have said, look, yes, he is Hispanic, but what does that got to do with it if he represents us well in the city council and if he's doing his job? Maybe it's a happy medium between black and white. I don't know. I'm doing okay. I just coming out, knocking on some doors.
Are you going to win big or win little?
I'm going to win big, I hope. I hope. I need you to help me. I know. Thank you very much.
You're smart. You're with the right guy. Why? He's the winner, that's why. What do you think? Talk to you later.
All right. Take care of yourself.
Bye-bye.
Hey, I need those people on 24th Street to come out.
They'll be out.
All right.
If politics is the tale of who gets what, then it's been a happy story for Latinos. And as they gain more positions of power, they cheerfully use their growing numbers of votes to re-elect their Latino representatives and their friend, Mayor Daley.
The bottom line in politics is numbers. If you produce the numbers, you're going to be respected and you're going to gain some power. And because of that, you're going to be able to do some things for the people that you represent. The higher the numbers, the higher the percentage, the more powerful you are, the more respected you are.
I think that media likes to have the stereotypical perception of where people of color, minorities are at, and it says, well, these are African Americans and these are Hispanics and they're both minorities, they're both people of color, they're both victims, so they must be together. They're trying to put a square peg in a round hole.
It's all about power and playing chess. And Daley's brain trust has put together a chess game, you know, sort of like, you know, you don't want to call it the Spanish defense, but in a way that's what it is.
This community don't support Mayor Daley in his politics. So just being linked up with Mayor Daley is a no-no around here. Our current alderman is linked up with him.
But where would Chicago politics be without complications?
This is Mayor Daley's office.
If a black politician strays towards Daley, his opposition will make an issue of it.
Sam Burrell, we put Sam Burrell in office. We made Sam Burrell the alderman over here.
And so challenger Floyd Thomas is playing a favorite election time game, trying to tag his opponent, Alderman Sam Burrell, with the Daley taint.
Him being a weak person, it was very easy for him to succumb to all the pressure and the powers of the office downtown. The mayor probably called him in his office and put his hands around him and said, Sam, your wife need a job, your son need a job, we take care of you, just be one of the guys. And by Sam being a weak person from the beginning, it was very easy for him to succumb to a tremendous amount of power and pressure. That's the connection, that you don't get into bed with Mayor Daley and be on the top. You're going to be on the bottom if you get into bed with Mayor Daley.
No, I'm not guilty of that. I'm not guilty of that. I saw you, Floyd, tearing down Sam Burrell's
I sure did, and I'll let you know. Floyd Thomas tore down some of Sam Burrell's signs because Sam Burrell's workers put his sign over the top of mine. We've had one of Sam Burrell's workers, Melvin Delp, come in and physically attack one of our workers.
Y'all get me started. I gotta hear my cues.
Milton Johnson Jr., Alderman of the 24th Ward.
Okay, based on what I'm hearing off the air, we're gonna have a lively time tonight.
Sam Burrell have turned his back on the black community. We put him in office, he turned his back, he jumps in the bed with Richard J. Daley. He moved his office out of Division Street over to North Avenue, 5902 West North Avenue. Mayor Daley's office is 5900 West North Avenue. That's right next door. This is Mayor Daley's office, 5900 West North Avenue. This is Sam Burrell's office, 5902. Now, you don't hang around next door in Jesse James' camp and tell me you don't believe in bank robbing. He needs to let the peoples know where he stands. Every time you ask him a tough question, he haven't made a decision. What kind of alderman do we have that's afraid to make a decision before the election? When will you make up your mind, Sam?
Go around making my priorities supporting candidates per se. I know all about the litmus test. I know all about racism, but what I do
Is Alderman Burrell with the mayor or not? In the Byzantine world of Chicago politics, voters need to be attuned to every rhetorical nuance.
I thought it was
You wouldn't come to a Dump Daily rally?
I come to a support rally for Joe Garner. That's what I came to.
But you wouldn't come to a Dump Daily rally?
Why would I waste my time with that? I mean, if I was going to Dump Daily, I would go out and get some voters to do that.
Pardon?
You understand me?
Okay, you kind of... Okay, I won't get into that. Hello, you on the air.
But politics is a business full of pragmatists, and African Americans are no different from all the other Chicagoans who try to figure out how to get things from City Hall. For blacks willing to deal with the mayor, there's somebody they can call to make it happen.
4 years is an awful long time not to have an entree to the mayor's office, to the governor's office. If we don't have a candidate that's an African American that's winnable, then we've got to get the best guy who's going to do the job that we have access to. And that's the most important word in all of politics, is access.
Chuck Bowen's specialty is Chicago's hundreds of black churches and their influential ministers. They have needs that only a mayor can fill, and Bowen's job is to make it happen and reap the rewards on Election Day.
Mrs. Williams, how you doing? Bishop?
This is how the pastors connect with the city. This is networking. Sitting down there working on my calendar right now and so forth. Concerned about the whole man, which is the minister's great responsibility and obligation. Politicians have found that out, and that's the reason why they flock to our church during election time, trying to get us to vote for them and so forth. For we have a gathering every Sunday. Every Sunday that politician couldn't gather in 6 months.
I do push you and persuade you and prompt you and urge you to be involved in the political process. Then I also recommend certain people who are friends of mine. I say that to introduce a friend who is no stranger to this church, Mr. Charles R. Bowen, who is the executive assistant to the mayor of Chicago. He's my friend, he's my brother, I trust him. He allows me to have access to the political process in this city. Won't you receive him at this time, Mr. Chuck Bowen? Give him an amen.
Good morning. I'm first here to give honor and praise to the one who makes all things possible. The pastor said it all when he introduced me. My job is dependent upon how well I have a relationship with pastors like Pastor Nelson. That's what I do. When he needs a favor and he needs somebody to run and go get some coffee for him or get something signed for him in City Hall, he knows I'll perform that task for him.
We endorse Daley from our own conviction, not from what God said. But if you can use me or want to use me with my parishioners and you want my endorsement, then somewhere down the line you have to open the doors for me. If I'm going to open my doors for you, then you open the doors for me. And this is what we have today.
What some of these ministers may get out of the deal is something that's minute compared to what could be done if we really had a cohesive, united, unified effort. They may get a vacant lot next to the church for $1 or something of that sort. It's selling out your constituency or your community for nothing.
The Lord is still blessing me. I'm concerned about the whole man. It's not just pie in the sky, and I do believe that there's something beyond the sky, in the sky. You don't have to do away with that. But we got to walk some golden streets here. Got to be able to eat some steaks here. Got to be able to wear some robes here.
Black people are beginning to understand in this city that we have to do serious coalition politics, not waiting for the kind of charisma that Harold Washington had, because he was a unique individual. Harold Washington was not simply a rhetorician or an eloquent, charismatic spokesman. He was a wheeler dealer who knew the nuts and bolts of the precinct politics. He knew what he had to do. He knew the people he had to talk to, the papers he had to sign, the palms he had to grease, and he did that.
The world of politics is filled with people like Chuck Bowen. For them, ideology takes a back seat to day-to-day concerns, and victory is the only goal. Because victory means sharing in the rewards of office. It means being paid attention to.
Chicago politics is not about grand ideas. It's not about man's relationship to the state. This is not about great heroes. This is not Achilles and Hector, okay? This is Richard Daley and Joseph Gardner. And what they're fighting over is the right to broker contracts and jobs. It is about service. It's a fee-for-service arrangement.
Richard Daley was re-elected with 62% of the vote, including nearly a third of the black vote. Alderman Dorothy Tillman had gone from being anti-Daley to being pro-Daley.
I made a terrible mistake for which I now will pay.
Ambrosio Medrano had followed the Chicago aldermanic tradition a little too faithfully and taken money from an undercover government agent.
There's a saying, if you do the crime, you do the time.
It doesn't matter if you're a nice guy. You're supposed to do the right thing.
He was replaced by Latino activist Danny Solis.
My mom, I've been told by the mayor, I've been told by friends, don't accept any envelopes and do the right thing, and that's what I'm about to do.
And Alderman Ed Burke was thinking about his re-election.
Es muy importante hablar español con mis amigos, pero es muy difícil también.